Hey guys, what's up? I'm Skyland Shore with FreeMMOStation, and we have another editorial today, and we're going to be talking about free-to-play games that do not launch as free-to-play, but instead change their monetization scheme. Mainly, we're going to be talking about the Lego Minifigures Online. If you were here last year, whenever I did my first impression on that game, I even have some videos on my personal channel, Skyland Games. Yeah, I really did have a lot of fun with that title. I thought it was pretty interesting, and the main complaint that you viewers and me and pretty much the whole world had with the game was that its monetization scheme was a bit draconian. It was kind of, I mean, it wasn't really pay to win, I mean, kind of in a way. It was more of like pay to play, like, truly. It was kind of like an arcade kind of system where you had characters, okay? You play as 3 different characters, and you kind of need these rotations of characters because you have these three characters and you play as them pretty much at the same time. You can switch them out at any time. So really, to play the game, you need to have a team that you pre-select of 3 characters, and you need to maneuver through the world like that. However, whenever one character dies, they go on cooldown, or you can't play them for minutes, sometimes hours, and you have to spend money to resurrect them. Yeah, that's a huge issue, especially if you need a certain character to kind of utilize his abilities in order to go through a dungeon. You need him, okay? And now you have 3 characters, okay? So if 2 die, maybe you don't even have more than 3 characters. Maybe you just have like 5 or something, and then like you can only suffer so many deaths before you're at a point where you're like, well, I really can't go any further. This actually is really bad end game. But even in my experience, my first impressions, I found the game was very difficult, and it prompted people to spend money. And I like difficulty. However, I don't like it whenever I can't play a game. So when a game is like Zenonia does this on mobile platforms. Actually, a lot of freemium games do this, where the game is so difficult. The game is so difficult that you, as a player, pretty much have to spend money to continue playing. Not just win, okay? Some of them are pay to win, but just pay to play in general, it's pretty bad. So one thing that the Lego Minifigures Online publishers and developers, what they wanted to do was to take out that pay-to-play feature. They wanted to make it buy-to-play. So they did that. They changed it from free-to-play to buy-to-play, and this was pretty detrimental to the game. As a free-to-play game, they could have just marketed it differently. They could have changed around the monetization scheme to still be free-to-play and still make them money, but no, they wanted the most profit. Well, I guess, from their calculations, what they thought would get them the most profit, and in the end, that wasn't the way to go. When free-to-play games go buy-to-play, it has historically been pretty tragic. There's actually been a couple of times where this has happened, okay? So, one game is called Minimum. Minimum was going to be a free-to-play MOBA shooter, and you probably don't even remember Minimum, because nobody plays it anymore. It's still a fantastic game. I do honestly think it's a good game. It's just, whenever it said it was going to go free-to-play, then went buy-to-play, nope. You just can't do that. You cannot do that to us. Because it doesn't just change the monetization. That's not what it just changes. It changes core gameplay aspects. Okay, League of Legends. What if League of Legends was a buy-to-play game, right? Then we probably wouldn't be getting skins. We might not get as many characters. Maybe they would sell DLC map packs. You know, that's how it changes the game. It is totally, fundamentally, at its core, the monetization scheme is entwined with the game mechanics, and a lot of these developers don't realize that. Now, one big fault of Lego Minifigures Online is that it's a character collecting game, which is really fucking awesome for free-to-play games, right? We love collecting characters in MOBAs, in MMOs, right? You get different classes, unlock them, basically. You know, it's really cool. That's the whole point of free-to-play games, is to constantly inspire developers to create content and inspire consumers to consume new content. That is why we like free-to-play games. But whenever this went to buy-to-play, and then it still kept its character collecting schemes where you have to buy the characters, what the fuck? Seriously? That's worse than DLC packs. It's basically like you're chopping up DLC packs for us to consume, and that's just not cool. You're just giving us little bits of what we really want. So that didn't really work. Another game that was supposed to be free-to-play, but then went buy-to-play, was Acclaimed Demon Hunters. I don't even know what's up with that game anymore. I don't think anybody plays it. It was like, it was going to go free-to-play, then not free-to-play, but then back to free-to-play. So I don't even know. Now there's a lot of games that are coming out or have been like out and then are going free to play, like WildStar, right? It saw that its subscription fee wasn't really worthwhile. People think World of Warcraft is worthwhile because it has so much content. WildStar being new, subscription fee wasn't really worthwhile. So it's really worth the free to play though. So they're like, okay, we're probably gonna make a lot of money if it goes free to play. So they put it free to play. That's really good. When games switch over to free to play, historically they actually do better. They really do. And sometimes they'll have different components, right? It'll be a free-to-play component, and then a sub-component, and then there's a buy-to-play component or something like that, where if you purchase like one item or if you purchase the game for 1 month, you get a premier or premium kind of account. And that kind of stuff is interesting and cool. Me personally, I think most games, most persistent online multiplayer games, should actually be free-to-play because there's a low barrier of entry. And then that's going to make the developers want to create more content for us to consume. That's the incentive. They want to continuously be updating the game, not just with actual content, but also, you know, like fixes to the game so that people are consistently playing it so they get this consistent updates. They want to actually hotfix the game, they want to update the game, and then they want to actually add in that new raw content, new mechanics, new maps, whatever. They want to add in new stuff for us to consume, and hopefully none of that is pay to win. And as we see with the gaming market, we're getting less and less pay to win schemes, at least for the AAA titles, you know, like the big names like Terra, WildStar. It's more about the actual content, letting players play with each other, and then cosmetics. That's what we like. But when a game is trying to sell you actual mechanical differences in a game that is already a buy-to-play. Like, can you imagine that? Like, I mean, back in the day, it was cool. We go to arcades and stuff, and we'll pay like 25 cents or 50 cents for a new life in an arcade. However, that's also because you're renting the machine that can play a game that before you can't play in your homes. I mean, even when the game was ported to your homes, you weren't able to have that huge graphical fidelity. You weren't going to have like the frames per second that the arcade version had. So you're kind of renting that machine. That kind of makes sense. In mobile games, freemium games, free-to-play games, it does not make sense to have a life system like that. So Lego Minifigures, that was really hugely detrimental. Now, in an interview, Funcom even stated that the monetization scheme that they had planned for the game was detrimental to their sales whenever they opened as free-to-play. And when they went to buy-to-play, it's the same exact thing. You didn't actually change really the monetization scheme. You just changed the barrier to entry. You really need to actually, if you're going to go free-to-play and you state free-to-play, just go free-to-play. If you need to make some changes, make it to the free-to-play monetization scheme. Don't change it entirely because you would have to change literally the entire game. Developers don't seem to realize that the monetization scheme is completely intertwined with the mechanics, as we see with successful free-to-play games. League of Legends, Dota 2. These two games do their monetization free-to-play schemes totally different, but at the same time it works for each individual one without being unfair. Absolutely an awesome practice. Even though they're free-to-play games and they're in the same genre, they have way different ways of approaching the free-to-play monetization, which is fantastic because they're smart. Because Valve is smart. Valve is really smart at making free-to-play games. I saw with Team Fortress 2 and now Dota 2. Absolutely phenomenal marketing. And that's what really makes the game. I mean, the games themselves are good, of course, but it's because of their market that allows them to grow continuously, make money, and make new content. And also they allow other players to make content, which is super cool too. That's not necessary, but it's pretty freaking awesome. Now, there are other ways of going about monetization schemes. I mean, you can even have a pseudo buy-to-play, like I was kind of mentioning before, like Smite. Smite is a free-to-play game, but you also have the possibility of just buying all the characters all in one go. You know, a free-to-play, the best monetization scheme is pretty much giving us the multitude of options, okay? That's really what we want. We want all the options possible for us. Why is there only options to buy individual characters? Why not all the characters at once and all the future characters? So boom, Smite gave it to us. That's what you need. You need a good monetization scheme, and you flip-flopping just shows that your game design doesn't have a solid foundation in itself. If you're flip-flopping monetization schemes, which is entwined with the actual mechanics of the game, it just shows as a game designer, you didn't quite plan for everything, obviously. And you can't just throw it off on like your accountants or whatever, or you're just, sometimes you can actually throw it on the publisher though, because publishers kind of force some things. So what should Funcom do with Lego Minifigures Online? Honestly, it should have been free to play, completely open. You know, there were some dungeons that couldn't be accessed because they needed premium accounts and stuff like that. No, the game should just go entirely free to play. And then what you should do is have the options to either unlock the characters through gameplay, which, I mean, before you kind of could, but it was super grindy, and I think there were some premium characters. What you need to do is still have the real life characters that you can purchase to instantly unlock them, right? That's awesome. Everyone loves real life stuff, you know, like amiibos, and you also have the Skylanders. That's pretty cool. I can totally see where that's coming from. But also make it to where it's, easy to just unlock the digital content. If, you just unlock the digital content. And maybe there's different skins. You need different skins for these characters. So, I don't know. You need to figure out something with the game and essentially relaunch it as like Minifigures Online, Redux, Redo, Remixed, whatever. You can come up with some funny name or give it an expansion. And you need to actually kind of like redo things. Give more options for players to customize their playstyle, but not detriment the playstyle, okay? Like, don't make it to where players can't play. Just take out all that shit, and then maybe when you relaunch the game, it could be good, but it needs to relaunch as a free-to-play because the whole mechanic of everything about the game just doesn't really sit well as a buy-to-play game. And the price is kind of fair, but since there's still in-game content to be grinded through and to be unlocked, it's not as fun as the default Star Wars Lego games or the Batman Lego games, Marvel, all the other Lego action RPGs are significantly better because they're less grindy, they're more fun, easier to access, and also there's never a point where you just can't play. In fact, I don't even think you can die in those games. You just continuously are playing. So you need to rework everything, build it as a free-to-play game. Yeah, pretty much. You got to rework everything. You kind of fucked up, basically. But, it's still a good game at its core. It just, you fucked up all the monetization. It could be salvaged. It's made out of Legos. You can make anything out of Legos, right? Right, guys? But anyways, that's going to end my rant on Lego Minifigures Online and free-to-play games that turn into buy-to-play games. I think it's atrocious. I honestly do. I think it's really awesome whenever games go from buy-to-play or something to free-to-play, and they actually do it right. Unlike some games, looking at you, Angry Birds 2 and Plants vs. Zombies 2, sooner or later these big companies are going to realize that a great game can actually turn into a bad game. It probably won't sell as well as the original, depending on how you market it, how you do the monetization. It seriously is detrimental, and please stop doing this whole freemium, weird, pay-to-win, pay-to-play, just awkwardness. It's not even free then. If you have to pay money to play any component of the game, it just shouldn't be called free. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm SkylineShore with FreeMMOStation. Thanks for letting me talk at your faces. I had a lot of fun doing this, and hopefully I'm going to make you guys a little bit aware of some situations that are occurring in the free-to-play market. And it is tragic. I really did like Lego Minifigures Online. Hopefully, maybe this will teach them a lesson, maybe teach other games a lesson, and maybe in the future, we'll get some better products and services. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you again later.